History is full of riches to rags stories about fallen stars and tragic historical figures who died dead broke or close to it. Some were starving artists, some made terrible decisions, and some were unjustly persecuted. But everyone on this list made huge, lasting contributions to our culture and still somehow croaked dirt poor. As you'll see, death by poverty is not fun. Some of these famous broke people from history were simply ahead of their time, like actor, composer, and songwriter. In this video, we compiled 17 famous people who died practically penniless. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and like and subscribe to the channel.
You're kind of lonely and all by your only. There's nothing.
Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday was one of the most famous jazz artists in the world, but drugs and drink took their toll on her. On her final day in May 1959, in fact, she was placed under arrest on her deathbed for possession of heroin, and all that she had left in the world was about $850. She died of cirrhosis on July 17, 1959, at age 44.
Yeah, and Mary, I'll never forget what a great pal you've been to me.
Yeah?
Yeah, straight from the shoulder, a real pal.
Reminds me of a song.
Mickey Rooney. A month before legendary film star Mickey Rooney died, amidst terrible family turmoil, he updated his will, but it was worth just $18,000. And he also owed a lot of back taxes. Indeed, his lawyers even claimed that he only owned a single pair of shoes at the time of his death. He died of natural causes on April 6, 2014 at the age of 93. Judy Garland. The beloved star of The Wizard of Oz fell into substance abuse in her later years, eventually dying from an overdose of barbiturates aged just 47 in 1969. And to make things even sadder, when she passed away, she was millions of dollars in debt. Frank Sinatra reportedly footed the bill for her funeral.
Yeah, my friend Chester Hill got mad at our last bus driver and threw his ant farm at him.
No, Gary.
It's okay now, they're almost gone.
Oh.
Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman was successful as a child actor in different strokes, but thanks in part to his parents, lost it all as he got older. He even took to auctioning off old memorabilia, including his trousers, to pay for medical bills. He died at the age of 42 on May 28, 2010 from brain hemorrhage, with debts of more than $70,000.
I have chartered a ship. Take us to England. We will be leaving tomorrow.
Bela Lugosi. Today, the name Bela Lugosi is synonymous with the role of Dracula. But playing the iconic vampire didn't prevent Lugosi from dying penniless in 1956. At the age of 73, after having suffered from substance abuse issues, he died of a heart attack and left just $1,900 behind.
The Vietnamese War was raging hot and heavy during that period that we conceived it, and there was a lot of unrest in America.
Marvin Gaye. The man who gave the world What's Going On suffered a tragic death. He was declared bankrupt in the mid-1970s following a struggle with substance abuse and failure to pay alimony. Just as he was getting back on his feet, however, his father shot him dead during a quarrel on April 1, 1984.
Well, I thought it might, help. Thanks. Can I get you something? I just made this for myself.
I'm really not hungry. And besides...
Dana Plato. Plato was another one who fell prey to what became known as the different strokes curse. After leaving the show, her money was allegedly stolen by a crooked accountant. She subsequently fell into poverty and addiction, and by the time of her death, she lived in a motorhome. She died on May 8, 1999 of an apparent drug overdose at age 34.
Where did he go for that meal? My goodness.
Anita Ekberg. In 2011, the aging star of La Dolce Vita made the news. Anita Ekberg, the media said, was living in poverty in Italy. All her riches had been lost to thieves, medical bills, and house fire. She died on 11 January 2015 from complications of chronic illnesses, aged 83.
He ain't tiny, and I have a sneaking suspicion he ain't even Irish. His eyes are smiling.
Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. died of complications from throat cancer in 1990, and he left a whole host of financial difficulties behind him. Due to his reportedly excessive spending habits, he owed more than $5 million to the IRS. As a result, his family had to auction off his possessions to cover the debt.
I think he's a very talented player, but he's not in the same class as me.
George Best. George Best was one of the most talented footballers that Britain ever saw, but he also had a serious and expensive drink problem. Shortly before his death in 2005, he checked himself into a private clinic, and the hospital ended up providing his treatment for free because he was completely broke. He died of transplant-related infections at age 59.
I mean, there's obviously a conflict in each episode, for example, the one that we're doing now was the story about the brother of my older brother.
Glenn Quinn. Glenn Quinn, who starred in Rosen and Angel, was sadly never able to overcome his substance addiction, and it ruined him. Not long before his death, he was thrown out of a rehab center because he was taking drugs on the premises. And when he did pass away, it was in a friend's house, Quinn having lost his own home years earlier. He died on 3 December 2002 at the age of 32 of accidental drug overdose.
They tell me that Paul looked good in training. That's good, cause nothing I like better than give a fan a good fight. I hope to knock him out.
Joe Louis. Joe Louis was a great boxer, but his downfall was his generosity. According to reports, he even repaid the welfare payments that his family had been given prior to his rise to fame. In the end, however, failed investments ruined him completely, and he was still in debt at the time of his death in 1981. The cause of death was cardiac arrest.
My other things are coming out theaters, Crank Too High Voltage, did something, it's coming on Spike TV for the writer's strike, so did it all for free and stuff.
Corey Haim. The later life of teen idol Corey Haim was terribly sad. After battling substance abuse problems for many years, he died of pneumonia in 2010 at age 38. At the time, he was so broke that he didn't even own a car. When his family requested contributions to cover his funeral costs, a memorabilia company eventually picked up the bill. Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker was a pioneer of jazz, but when he died in 1955 from pneumonia at the young age of 34, he was penniless. A heroin addiction had drained both his cash and his health. Thankfully, though, his friends and fans stepped in to ensure that his body would be buried and his 2 sons provided for.
I'd take care of him, Granny. I'd feed him and take care of him and everything, Granny.
Oh, he'll grow up to...
Bobby Driscoll. The voice of Disney's Peter Pan was an actor called Bobby Driscoll, and he met a tragic end. After Disney canceled his contract when he reached adolescence, he turned to drugs. A 31-year-old homeless addict at the time of his death in 1968 from heart attack, he was subsequently buried in an unmarked grave. Sadly, his body still lies there today.
You know, it happened so fast, I didn't even have time to keep up with what actually was happening until I had the opportunity to settle down and just
Whitney Houston. Although Whitney Houston's estate was apparently worth plenty when she died in 2012 from a drug-related accidental drowning, reports stated that she herself had been struggling for money. Drug use had compounded her difficulties, with the singer apparently even having to borrow money to pay for her time in rehab. And after her daughter Bobby Christina also passed away, Houston's family began feuding over the dead star's finances.
I really am. Like when there are off days and there is no show, I'm up at night dancing just to sing. It's really strange.
Michael Jackson. As the world reeled from the shock of Michael Jackson's death in 2009 from cardiac arrest, they soon received another surprise. The king of pop had been hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. According to banker David Dunn's testimony before the U.S. tax court in 2017, Jackson was in a very precarious situation.